Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to today's cryptocurrencies update for Wednesday, March the 19th, 2025. I think we have a emerging crypto bull on our hands, and in today's webcast we are definitely going to cover Ethereum because I think there's a lot of good developments going on, but of course the bulls are not out of the woods just yet. They're still behind the shed, but not taking as big a beating by the bears as they have had over the last days, weeks and months. Instead, I think we're getting closer to a significant bottom than a top, and I want to share other people's opinion as well. I found some really good insights on X. It's taken me a while to find really good value out of X on Ethereum, and I think I found some that are really good. And please keep suggestions coming because 3 no more than 2. All right, so please help me out with finding value in X for Ethereum, because Ethereum I think has a lot of upside potential. So let's have a look at the charts. I'm going to start here with Ethereum. All right, this is the daily chart, and since the December high we can count technically 5 waves lower, as you can see here. 1 2 1 2. All right, I'm going to use my beloved annotation. 1 2 1 2 3 4 3 4 5. All right, so of course the bulls have a lot of work to do because we're still here below the 20-day simple moving average. All right, that is still not a very good sign. We need to get above that one. We can attack the 50. If we get above the 50, we can attack the 200. We get above the 200, we can finally attack 4,000. However, we have this nice positive divergence on the RSI 5 and as well here on money flow. All right, that's really good, but this is still a 100% bear market setup. Of course, bull market stop in a 100% bull market setup, meaning prices above the 20, the 50, the 200 day, all of them are rising. I do want to point out that again, wave 3 reached the ideal wave 3 targets. Wave 5 also reached the ideal target. Wave 4 fell a little bit short. It was only 1 day, but it can be counted this way. All right, it's all a little bit tentative, but it starts to look pretty good. All right, moving on to the monthly chart for Ethereum. And here you can see that we can count now a very complex 4th wave nearing completion. ABC lower for A, ABC higher for B, and then 5 waves, potentially only 3 waves lower for C. Again, the C wave can go as low as $1,000 to $800, revisiting the 2022 low. It doesn't have to be that way. We're getting quite oversold on a lot of parameters, so this still looks really good, with the most bearish case, of course, being a 5th wave here, but that would be, in my humble opinion, a failed 5th, and they are very uncommon in the other wave, and also very uncommon in crypto. So let's shop around and see what we find on the web about Ethereum. This is by Quintum, and I like it. He has over 200,000 followers, and you can see, yes, Ethereum sentiment is dead. I just wrote an article about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is dead, so we're going to rally to 166,000. So here it looks at the Ethereum sentiment index from Bravo's research. And again, we're getting quite close to really good bottoms. If history is, of course, anything we can use for the future predictions, but you know, as long as it works, it works. So it's all playing out, and large holders are buying aggressively. And that's very important. And we have the biggest Ethereum short position in history. Very important, because short squeezes can really push prices higher quickly. But these are all conditions. Price is the final arbiter, but we want to see if underlying conditions match the price chart. Right? The price chart is an objective analysis of underlying conditions. That's really it is, because price is the aggregate opinion from everybody who's involved with trading cryptos or any financial asset. So this is good. All right, sentiment is dead. Large short positions, but big boys are buying. That's all very good. I like it. Now, of course, assuming this is all correct, what Mr. Quinton describes. The next one here, Crypto Caesar, very nice, over 100,000 followers. So I think he has something to say. And here you can once again see long-term, we're still in a uptrend. We have to hold, of course, this uptrend line. Otherwise, worse things are going to happen. And then you can see how we can revisit the 2022 lows, right? So we go from 3,700 down to about 2,000, and 2,000 minus that, right, gets us there. All right. So of course, not in absolute numbers, but in length of price. Scaling. This is by Crypto General. Also here, very good work on Ethereum. What we are looking here at is that Ethereum exchange reserve keeps decreasing because big whales are accumulating on cold wallets for cheap. Now, it's a lot of words that I might not understand, but I like the idea, and I know that big whales are big buyers and they are accumulating Ethereum. Now, large institutions have, of course, a much longer time frame than days, weeks and months. They look very far ahead. All right, they can't be bothered with intraday trading other than maybe a hedge or two, but that's not their thing. They're dealing with other people's money. That's all long-term investment, 401k stuff. So we see nice accumulation going on, assuming, of course, this is correct, right? I have no way of validating this, but we have to assume this is correct. And if you have over 250,000 followers, you know, and you're full of BS, then I don't think you should have that many followers in the first place. So that's kind of what we go by, right? Again, this looks good. It confirms the previous post. And then let's have a look here. Again, same uptrend line. This also looks very good, that we should rally from here, be it either a bounce, right, or a very good rally. Like it, looks good. So let's then look at the ETF, and we can count for one more green wave 4-5 sequence as shown here, that this green wave 4 is underway, and then we get the green wave 5. Okay, let's put that in the same color there. So then we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. And it should bottom around somewhere $14 to $13. And then from there, we'll rally to much, much higher prices. So your downside risk from here is about $3, $4, and your upside potential is probably new all-time highs. So please take that in consideration, but also that we have no confirmation that the low is in place. All right, we're still firmly above all moving averages, except the 10-day simple moving average. But again, we need to break above a lot of these stiff resistance coming in here, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 200-day Ichimoku cloud. So technically, you can see we need to break above 23 to really suggest we are in clear free air, just like we were here. Okay, just like we were there. Once you break above the Ichimoku cloud, good things tend to happen. It is a lock, or in this case, if we have a bull run, a base that price needs to stay above. Okay, and in a bear market, it needs to stay below it. So as long as you stay above it, you're good. And you can see bad things happen when we go above it. Good things happen when we break above it. So bad things happen when we break below it, not above. And good things happen when we break above it. All right. It's not the can-all do-all indicator, but it is significant. It is really support resistance at the moving averages. And again, you can see this is still a bearish looking chart, but we have positive divergence. 4-5 setup would be extremely nice. Again, here positive divergence on MAC histogram. Money was extremely negative flowing out, so the only way is up. And a 4-5 with further positive divergence would be my ideal scenario. And then the 4-5 would reach again about here $12. That's the 76.4% reach of the wave 1. All right, so this is then wave 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C lower, somewhere around there, $12, and then you get 3, 4, and 5. Okay, with 5 going all the way into the 70s, if not higher, depending on extensions. So that matches with this as well, somewhere around that level, right? I said somewhere around 13, 14. Wouldn't surprise me. Of course, that would mean Ethereum will go through more bad stuff. But again, it's the wrapping up in that case of the final 4th and 5th wave, which is a really time to load up. And again, the institutions can't really be bothered with $3, $4 downside, knowing that they have $50, $60 upside potential. That's the way they are thinking. So moving on then to the big boy, Bitcoin. And we're still not entirely sure yet if we are in this blue wave 4, meaning that we still have a final blue wave 5 to come to about that 70,000 level there, potentially even as low as 65,000 for this expanded ending diagonal potential. Okay, not to be relied on from a bearish perspective, because diagonals are very tricky beasts. It's possible. And I'll show you the next slide that we can also count this correction as complete. So we're getting close, and you can see Bitcoin is trying to get back above its moving averages. There, it's back above the 10, it's back above the 200, and it's trying to get back above the 20. That's a good sign. Okay, it's not the can-all do-all. We still have, of course, this downtrend line to content ourselves with. We have, of course, the 50-day moving average and the Ichimoku cloud. So you can really see we want to get back above 94,000 to suggest the low is in place, because that's that Bitcoin stockpile fund reserve rally when it was announced by our current administration. We have lots of positive divergence. That's really nice. The MACD is on a buy. That's really nice. Okay, let's see how we're doing on money flow. It's increasing a lot. That's really nice. So there's plenty of signs to tell us that indeed we have bottomed for the wave 4. Besides that, of course, we have this nice trend line that we are still above. You see this? All the way back to August. All the way there. See if I have a steady hand. Not bad for my age. Not bad at all. I'm sure my therapist will be proud. So again, we are holding this uptrend line. We've done technically enough from a corrective pattern that we have an A and then a B and then a C and then another ABC. Okay, so this is very overlapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a diagonal, and then the B wave up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for A, B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lower for all of A. Then this was a B wave, A, B, C. Done. See how extremely complex this is? So of course we need to hold the low here, to really ensure that the low is in place. So the warning levels for the bears, once again, above 95,000 is a very good sign that the low is in place. All right. Then we have a true higher high. For now, we're still making lower lows and lower highs. So the initial sign is pretty good, but it's just initial. Moving on to the weekly chart. Also here, we have technically done enough. All right. Let's move there. And you can see that technically we are often going to the 38.2% retrace for a fourth wave, just like we did in August last year, though of course the intra-week stab was well below it. I think it went to 50% for the retrace of this wave 3. So the 50% for this 1 degree higher wave 3 is at about 64,500. Okay, so 64,500 would get us right there, right, for this potential expanding ending diagonal. So that potential is still there. Okay, I just cannot yet say which of the two roads Bitcoin will take. If we start breaking out, we're done. Please remember though, bigger picture, we are still looking for a final fifth wave to ideally 166,000, potentially even more. But that I think should be our upside target. We've done enough, 30+% correction, to consider this wave 4 complete. The previous fourth wave of a similar degree was 56%. And a fourth wave also here, again, in the mature bull. And a mature bull, just as where we are now, in the mature bull was 40%. Okay, so it's quite common. What we've done so far is nothing out of the ordinary. And it matches really well with, of course, our weekly chart, as I just showed you. Okay, so we have technically enough waves in place. There's only one wave I cannot account for in this entire way of counting the waves. That is this orange wave 4. Every other wave, so of all the price action since the November 2022 low, of all price action and all these waves, there's only one I cannot really account for using this method, where down weeks are either second or fourth waves, or of course A waves within a corrective pattern, all right, or C waves, right? All corrections. So down weeks are all corrections pretty much, right? So that's what I can't account for, one, and that's many, many, many weeks. So I think this method has a lot of valid. And again, we got quite oversold here, which tends to coincide with significant bottoms in this bull market that started in 2022. I don't want to compare bear markets like 2021 to 2022 because it's an entirely different environment. And the weekly chart now aligns with the monthly chart, and this also aligns now with the daily chart. All right, looks good. So let's shop around. What are other people seeing? So this is by Crypto Goose, also a big guy on cryptos. And he announced that Binance has increased its Ethereum holding. Oh, that should actually go to Ethereum, sorry, by over 600 million. So also that is very good. Again, this is a big boy buying. All right, Binance is buying 600 million. That's not shabby. I know, of course, the valuation of Ethereum is a lot more, if not 600 billion, but still, that's a lot of money. Even that would be 10%. All right, of it. Anyways, that's 1%. Is it 600 billion versus 600,000, 600 million? So 0.1%. It's getting less and less. Anyway, it's a lot of money. They're throwing a lot of money at it. Moving on to Bitcoin, still following nicely this logarithmic growth curve. I tried to add it to the chart, but somehow it didn't work for me. I think something was off with stock chart, but it looks really good. All right. Again, it's holding, so as long as it holds, we should be good. Technical indicator also getting oversold from where we should expect the next rally. And this one you've seen before, like Colin T Crypto, that we have, of course, our money supply. So either we're going to start rally pretty soon, later this month, and that's in 1 or 2 weeks, or later next month, that's at the end of April. All depends on what offset we are looking at and which offset is operable for the global money supply. Remember, liquidity drives markets, and liquidity is starting to flood our financial systems. Then that liquidity has only one way to go, and that is eventually into risky assets. It will go first in safe assets like gold and CDs and savings accounts. Then eventually it will trickle into the stock market, and last but not least, the cryptocurrencies, because they're considered the most risky. But from a volatility perspective, the stock market is actually more volatile on average than Bitcoin, believe it or not, because especially in this bull market since 2022, Bitcoin most of the time does nothing. And then it rallies for 6 days and that's it. So technically it's very involatile. However, both point towards much higher prices, which once again aligns with our bigger picture wave count. And we just have to wait and be patient. That's really the crux of the matter. Last but not least, a little bit of Elliott wave by Bitquant. Also here, looking for either continuation of this little 4 wave. As you can see here, could reach 73,000-ish, right? So far, so good. And then the final 5th wave, anywhere between 144,000 to 253,000. Okay, so not too bad. Not too bad at all is what we're seeing as well. We have an ideal of 166,000, so it's quite there nicely in the middle. All right, we're still missing a final 5th wave. I always like to shop around to see what other people, that you go through their posts or work, whatever they are doing. It's reliable, it's good, it's objective. They're seeing the same thing. I love it. All right, even if they're not seeing the same thing, then I'll go like, hey, where am I wrong or where are they wrong? All right, crypto ETFs. This is BITO. Could still do this 4-5, which aligns with the first Bitcoin chart we just shared, right? The 4-5 right there. It's still possible. Back above about 2021, then we put a fork in it and we go to our most bullish count, which we'll share in a moment. GBTC the same, can still do this 4-5. Okay, probably won't go much lower than, I would say, low 60s. Same for BITO. Will probably not go much lower than about $15, $16, and then we get the blast off. All right, so also here you see the risk is here and the reward is there. But again, I have no indication that a bottom is in place. It starts to look okay. We've done enough technically, but all right. And have we done enough? Using IBIT, I can find technically that we've done enough. We filled this gap here. So now we need to start seeing higher highs. And also here, I need to go back above about 53-ish to really start to suggest, yes, we are making a higher high. What I like, of course, is that all the technical indicators are positively diverging. They're starting to move up. Look at that. Money is flowing back in. GBTC as well. Lots of positive divergence. That's all good. All right. Everything is good. That's why we had our initial slide of a emerging new bull seems to be on our doorstep. Okay. But those are conditions, not trade triggers. We need to see price move above key price levels. Excuse me, sorry about that. And then we have, of course, last but not least, Riot, which could have bottomed here at the 88.6% retrace. Extremely deep second wave. I do want to see it hold that level. If it doesn't, then we have to move to the notion that we are in a deeper 5th wave of a very protracted wave 2/B down to about $5-6. And from there, we're then going to rally. So also this one points to another rally into the 33s, which aligns, of course, with a rally in the cryptos. Okay, so either we've just bottomed and we're about to rally, or we're still going to trickle lower. I don't want to see price go much lower. All right, that is pretty much this week and last week's low. It needs to hold. Otherwise, I'm going to put a fork in it and say, no, we are indeed in a large protracted wave 2 with a C wave that is subdividing the red wave C into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it's still possible. We're extremely oversold on all measures, right? Extremely oversold on all measures. But that's a condition, not a trade trigger. So this is where we are. I hope you appreciate it. Insights. Indeed, it looks like a start of a emerging new bull run. Things have reached their downside targets, have technically done enough for their fourth waves, their second waves, you name it. Now we just need to see price follow through by breaking above previous highs, start to make higher highs, higher lows to confirm. A lot of good folks on X are bullish, whereas everybody is bearish. Sentiment is really at all-time lows and fear is at all-time highs. So that is often a good recipe for a rally. Again, we showed that big boys are buying. Look at Binance plowing in 600 million in Ethereum. Institutions are buying Ethereum as well. And those are often in front of the curve, and the masses will eventually catch on once we're getting close to new uptrend highs and the uptrend is about to get old. All right, that's all I have for today. Long enough. I hope you appreciate it. If you have any questions, contact me. I'm here to help. Take care. Trade